What's going on, everybody? We are back here live here on the OT Radio Show, and we got a good show for y'all today. Today, y'all, we are going to be talking about healing today, y'all. We're going to heal. We're going to heal some people today. Today, y'all. We have best-selling author, award-winning, multi-certified master coach, international, y'all, international Tedx Speaker and CEO of Elevating Health Wellness LLC. Dr. Dana Watson is joining us here today. No relations, y'all. No relations. Don't be trying to act like OT God's cousin up here, but she gonna end up being my cousin later on. She gonna end up being my cousin later on. But she got some of the best-selling books out there, y'all. Life After Divorce, Women Who Praise, I'm a Praying Wife, Because He Loved Me, inspired by some true events. So listen, like I told y'all, today is about healing today. So we got her on. She's going to be joining us, having some beautiful discussions with us. Hey, she might be healing your boy OT too. So we here, and let's go ahead and get ready for the show. Because today, y'all, is one of these shows today. I'm telling y'all, it's one of these shows. And we'll be back here live with Dr.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind is deep though. We'll speak it though. We on the air. Just take it there. I'ma take it there. Hold up. Yeah, I talk about it, but I'm real about it. I speak on it, but don't catch films about it. We can chop it up like it's nothing, baby.
And like I said, this show today is about healing. And why not? Why not, y'all? Have someone on here that talk about health, wellness, life, healing, and everything under the sun. All right. So we got her on. Our producer says she is ready to have conversations with OT. I am ready to have conversations with Dr. Dana Watson. So let's go ahead and bring her in. Producers, bring her in. We are ready to have this conversation here. Good evening. How are you feeling today?
I am good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, listen, no, thank you for joining us here on the show. We appreciate you. Well, first, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on, sitting here having a conversation with me. Because without you, there will be no me when it comes down to this podcast review. So I appreciate you for taking the time out. So, where should we start at? Because listen, I read your bio, I read some things, I did some research. I mean, you are amazing. Amazing. Let's start there. You are amazing.
Thank
So,
you. I
can you
appreciate it.
tell our listeners and people that's watching, the people that's going to be watching on the replays, where are you from, and how did you start this journey that you're in, like beautiful journey.
I am from Virginia, and you all know the saying, Virginia is for lovers. I am in the position that I am in now because I am just a lover, but being a lover comes consequences sometimes. So no, I'm dead serious. Like I am probably the biggest lover out there. I just love love. But
Mm-hmm.
love and love, sometimes love don't love you back. And so
Facts.
actually how I became Coach Dana W. My life experiences. It started, I wrote my first book, Because He Loves Me, which is
Mm-hmm.
inspired by true events. I am a survivor of domestic violence, and it is October. So we know
Mm-hmm.
that October is all about bringing awareness to the domestic violence. And so shout out to all the survivors out there and to those who are still fighting to get out of those relationships. Just know I'm praying for you and you can do it. And that's what my book is all about. It's about giving women the strength that they need, the encouragement, the hope that if God can do it for me, that He can do it for you too. So God actually allowed me to be able to walk away from an engagement. I was engaged to get married, and the wedding was 2 weeks away. I walked away. It was hard because I had to face embarrassment, I faced shame, fear, and worry. But I knew that that was not the relationship for me. To me, it started out like a dream. He was my
Mm-hmm.
Prince Charming, I want to say. And I was really young. I was a single mom. And all of this is in the book. I use fictional characters to tell this story because I don't want to put anyone on blast, right? I don't want to.
Right.
I know it's mamas out there, and mamas love their sons, mamas love their daughters no matter what. So that wasn't my intention to put anyone on blast. But my intention for this book was to tell my story of domestic violence. And so being a mom of a 1-year-old girl, I knew I needed to change my life. Her father was in and out of jail and prison. And so when I met this college student, I was probably about, I was probably like 22 years old when I met him, 21. And he was a mathematics major, mom, chief in the Navy. He was everything that a woman would want in a man. And so he treated my daughter as his own. And so when he proposed to me, of course I said yes. I was like, absolutely yes. But I'm gonna tell you where I messed up at. I messed up because my mama kept saying, Dana, do not allow this man to move in your house without being married. And I was like, we about to get married. So I let him move into my house, what, you know, the older people would call shacking up. That's exactly what we did. We shacked up. And I began to see a difference in him. He changed immediately. He began to, it kind of like gradually increased when it comes to the abuse that he did to me. It went from him throwing my clothes in the bathtub because he was upset with me. Like, it was like, you know, you just fan that off. All right, you got my clothes wet. That's fine. But then it went to him shoving me against the wall. And it was like, okay, what's going on? Because you never put your hands on me. So of course he apologized. He said, I'm sorry, this is never going to happen again. I believed him. So from him putting his hands on me, shoving me to the wall, that escalated to him now putting his hands around my throat. If you see the book cover of Because He Loves Me, there's a woman, and you have to look at it real good because there's actually a hand around her throat. And when I see the image to this book, I was like, this is it. I was like, because I felt like I was looking at myself when I saw the book cover. And I'm like, we have to use this book cover for this book because this is my story. And what happened in this particular situation, he had been drinking. I don't drink alcohol at all. He was drinking alcohol with his friend, and it was getting late at night. They were loud. They were playing the games. And I was like, hey, my daughter's asleep. Can you all bring it down? So his friend decided to go ahead and leave. And my fiance at the time was like, hey, I'm going to go to the store to get something to drink. And I'm like, well, you've already been drinking, and it appears that you're already intoxicated. He didn't have a car because he crashed his car. And so he was like kind of forcing me to give him my car keys. And I was like, no. So here I am thinking I'm taking a stand. Like, no, I'm not giving you my car keys. And he began to chase me around the house. Because I knew he loved my daughter so much, I did the stupidest thing I could have done. I went into her bedroom. She was asleep in the bed. And I got on the bed. I sat on the bed thinking if he saw my daughter, he would walk away and say, forget it. But he didn't do it. He sat on the bed with me and said, give me the keys, because the keys were in my hands. And he put his hand around my throat and he squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter until I let go of the keys, because I was like, oh my God, I am about to die over some car keys. So I gave him the car keys and he left. I called the police, because this is the first time I'm calling the police after all of the previous incidents of him putting his hands on me. And when the police came, they said, was he drinking? And I said, yes, he was drinking, thinking they would understood what was going on. And they said, oh, he'll sober off. You two will be okay. And they left.
Wow.
They didn't file charges. They didn't ask me, was I okay? And it was like, oh my goodness. So the next day, I went to the magistrate office, but for some reason, I did not walk into the door. I sat there and I was like, the police said we're going to be okay. And I took his word and I went back home. We didn't break up. We stayed together. We continued planning a wedding as if nothing had happened. So
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. It was a lifetime story for real. And like I
Right,
said,
for real.
that was, that was not even the end of that story. Like, if anything, was probably just the beginning, because that was the worst he had ever did to me when it came to the physical abuse. What caused me to leave was when we were still planning the wedding and we were talking
Mhm,
about, are we going to have a bar at the reception? I'm like, no, my mom's a pastor. I wanted to
mhm,
respect her. I don't want to have alcohol. But his dad and not dad, mom and stepdad love to drink. But he was like, no,
mhm.
we're going to have alcohol. But I'm like, but you said you weren't drinking anymore, because after that incident with the alcohol, he was like, I'm never going to drink again. And
Right.
so he had stopped drinking, but here we are arguing about beer and alcohol. And he got so angry at me that he threw his cell phone at my chest. And the chest and the cell phone broke into pieces. That's how hard he threw it. And I looked at the cell phone on the floor, broken into pieces. I had no shoes on. I grabbed my daughter, I grabbed my keys, and I ran out the house, because at that point we were fighting. Like, this is the
Mhm,
first time we were fist fighting, and I was fighting him like a man, but I had never put my hands on him before. But this time I was like, I have to fight because he might kill me on
mhm,
today. And so, leaving with my daughter in the back seat, I'm driving, right? And I'm living in there's 3-floor apartment, and I can see
mhm,
him running down the stairs. And I'm driving, and he makes it out the apartment complex and runs in front of the rental car that I'm driving.
mhm.
And he hits the car, he runs into the car, and the side view mirror falls, and I keep going. Left him on the ground. I had no idea. Did I run him over? Did I kill him? I didn't
Mhm.
care. All I knew is that I needed to get out of there. And I went to my mom and my dad's house, and I knocked on the door. And so they opened the door, they looked at my feet, and they said, what's wrong? And I
Mhm.
began to cry, because at this point they had no idea that their daughter, their baby girl, I'm the baby girl of 6 kids. They had no
Wow.
idea that I was in this abusive, toxic relationship. And I said, he put his hands on me. And they said, did he ever do this before? And what you think I said?
Nope.
No,
Nope.
this is the first time. I don't know why he did this, but yeah, I lied. I lied out of embarrassment and shame that I was even in this situation in the first place. So I
Mhm,
went from a place of lying about being a victim of abuse to being a woman who tells my story as much as possible, so that others can know you're not alone. You're not alone, and it's not your fault. No matter how much your perpetrator, your abuser try to blame you, it's
mhm.
not your fault, and you can get out of it. So that's how
I
I
got
ended up right here.
I have a question. I gotta ask this question.
Mhm.
Through all this, did you get help?
I finally did get help, but it wasn't really the help that I needed. When we talk about therapy, mental health
Mm,
treatment, I did not get that at that point, because again,
okay.
I'm a pastor's child. And one of the things we do as Christians, we always run to the church.
God. God
And
in church.
right.
Mhm,
So my mom connected me with a minister friend, and she
mhm,
had me doing this celibacy, purity ceremony, and she preached some good stuff, but I did not get the treatment that I needed to recover. I didn't begin
mhm,
going to therapy. Let me see, that happened in 20. I mean, hold up, not even 20. That happened like 2006,
mhm.
2005. I didn't have my first seat at a therapist until 2019.
Mm. So you've been dealing with that trauma for all that time.
Right.
So where was the turning point in 2019? Because you know I did some research on you and I know you talked about it. So where was that turning point in 2019 when you decided to say, you know what, I got to get some help?
Yeah. So my mom passed away in 2018. She was diagnosed with liver cancer. Um, My mom was my best friend, and as I said, she was my spiritual leader and my spiritual mother as well as my natural mother. But when she got sick with liver cancer, I did my research. I did everything I could possibly do to try to save my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to save her initially, when I first spoke to her about holistic healing, she said no, because the doctors was like, look, it's counterproductive to what we want to do with you, which was the chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, the doctor said I shouldn't do it. So she listened to the doctors. That happened in February 2018. By July 2018, the doctors were saying it was nothing else they could do for her. The tumors were actually getting larger in her liver.
Mm-hmm.
And so but my mom was like, all right, Dana, what you got? Because there's nothing else the doctors can do. I began to study about essential oils, juicing, wheatgrass shots, bitter almonds, everything I could do. And I began to work with my mom in the hospital, oiling her body. And we began to see some results from what we were doing. The tumors were actually shrinking. But this, the mind is so powerful. The mind is powerful. When you believe you can be healed, I believe that God will heal you. My mom went to the doctor feeling good that her tumors were reducing, they were shrinking. But the doctor told her, yeah, your numbers are still high. You should probably have the conversation with your family about end of life. That was it for her. That was it. And I'm talking about a pastor losing faith. Have you ever seen a pastor lose faith before?
Yeah.
They hit rock bottom to do that. They have to hit rock bottom. I grew up under my mom. Never in my life did my mama ever lose faith. She was the queen of faith. So when my mama lost faith that God could heal her, and she began to pray that she was ready to go home, we were praying against this prayer that she had. She wanted to go to heaven, and me and my siblings, we're praying God to heal her. And so we're like, no, it's not time. So at one point, my mom passed away. She first died in August, right?
Wow.
And we brought her back to life. My mom was so angry. She was angry that we brought her back to this earth.
Wow.
And I believe she got a touch of heaven and was like, why would y'all do that? Mom talked to us from that time in August. She passed away September the 2nd. And from that time of August to September, I look like I froze.
Oh no, you straight. I still see you. You still working.
I'm looking at me on this side. I'm like, Lord, I'm frozen over here. But from that time frame, she didn't speak to us anymore because we did something that she didn't want us to do. And I had to pray to God because I was angry. As a Christian woman, I was angry with God because I'm like, God, I've seen you perform miracles in people's lives. I've seen you heal people from cancer. You couldn't do this for my mom, who was committed to you, who sacrificed her life to you for so long. The one woman who gave up everything for the body of Christ, you couldn't save her. And God had to speak to me about what divine healing really was. And so when we pray for healing, we got to understand that there are two different types of healing. There is the healing that we are praying for when it comes to that spirit of infirmity over our bodies, that pain that we feel that's really connected to our emotional state. And so you got to ask yourself, when you are carrying pain in your shoulders, in your back, in your belly, in your legs, what's really going on? What trauma are you carrying with you? And I know my mom was carrying a lot of trauma in her life, a lot of pain. She never went to therapy. You asked, when did I get help? My mom never went to therapy after all the betrayals in her life, after being raped at a young age. I never knew my mom was raped until she passed away. My oldest sister told me. And I'm like, she carried this because she felt like she needed to be strong. But I want you to know, being transparent and speaking up, breaking the silence is what makes you strong. That's what gives you the strength, because you can help someone else who's going through a crisis. But she carried this pain. And so I prayed and I'm asking God, why didn't you heal her? And God spoke to me and said, I did. I gave her divine healing. There's nothing like divine healing, the healing that God gives that's everlasting, that everlasting healing where you're no longer feeling the pain of the world.
Mhm.
And so
Mm.
it took a while for me to get it because I still miss my mom today, but I don't question God anymore about taking her from me. But that's what happened when I began to go to therapy. But being in therapy and losing my mom helped me also to see, okay, because now I'm in this marriage. I got away from the abuser, but I get married, and my friend would tell me I settled up because he didn't physically put his hands on me. He didn't emotionally abuse me, like or verbally call me names or anything like that. But the infidelity was out insane, and so that is a part of emotional abuse. And I finally got the courage to leave my marriage. So in 2018, I lost my mom.
Mhm.
In 2019, I decided to walk away from my marriage. And then in 2020, I lost my dad. And that was
Mhm.
3 years of trauma back to back. But not one time did I stop going to therapy. Not one time did I stop the healing process. And the healing process, we got to understand, it is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
Like we can't expect that we just gonna be healed and we stop going to treatment, we stop going to therapy, and everything's all right because life continues to happen. But
That's a
we
fact.
gotta
That's a fact.
understand,
Mm.
are we gonna be victims to pain or are we gonna be conquerors and victorious? So that's where my book, Life After Divorce, comes from, turning your pain into power.
See, I told y'all we're gonna get some healing today, y'all. We definitely gonna get some healing today because you know, I speak real heavy when it comes down to seeing uh a counselor or getting some kind of therapy.
Yeah.
Because once again, you said that, but it took someone to pass, it took your mother to pass for you to understand that. Well,
Right.
that goes the same with me. Me and you is similar as the same, right? And when people really don't understand that they are dealing with a whole lot, and I know there's a lot of people that's scared to go to therapy because they scared to hear the unknown
Mhm.
about themselves.
Oh yeah.
And I would tell anybody go to therapy. Gotta go to
Mhm.
therapy. You have to. Because there's some underlying things that you really don't know that you're dealing with.
Yes.
And when it comes out, oh yeah, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out as a shocker for you. It's definitely gonna come out. But
I
look,
was
I mean,
trying to therapy, and I was like shaking my head, like, dang, I need to work on that. Like, I'm a coach, and there's still some things like I'm like, man, I just realized that I have a hard time letting go.
mm,
In therapy, I had that revelation, and it's so bad that I have this dog. I have a toy poodle that I got after I lost my dad. That was my
mhm.
great dog, and he has been nothing but terrorizing me since I got him. I'm like, this is not been therapeutic at all. And I'm like, I don't know why I can't let him go. So you're not lying when you say therapy bring out things and you, it's like, I gotta face,
Yeah,
I gotta face it.
yeah, yeah. So wow, this right here is a journey. We going through a journey right here, and I'm glad that you on here because we're talking to you about this, and these are things that people in this world do need to hear when it comes down to therapy because we all need it. A lot of people still don't seek therapy after their parents die and stuff like that, or after some kind of traumatic thing happened. But I'm glad that it shows that even though you went through it in 2000 and what was it, 2008 or something like that, and then all of a sudden now 10 years later, we're just going to say 10 years later plus, that you decided to get therapy because I would say it was a work in progress to
Right,
get you there, but you got there and you're
right,
still doing it to the day. So
right.
let's talk a little bit more, because you offer, Healing Life Coach certification training program.
Mhm.
Right. So can you tell our peoples and our listeners, our family, because I call them family, our family, about that a little bit.
Yes, sure. So I realize as I've been able to turn my pain into my purpose. And so a lot of the things that I've gone through I've been able to coach others, like teaching them about healthy relationships, teaching them how to grieve in a healthy way when they lose a parent, teaching them how to maneuver through separation and divorce. And it's like, God, you keep having these things happen to me. Why? And we got to understand that a lot of things that happen to us is not because of us, but it's to help someone else through the process and through the journey. And I know that I'm not the only one. So I created I Am Healed Academy to help others who feel like they have a calling, to help others to heal. But they may need to find healing for themselves. And so the I Am Healed Academy, I have 4 different modules. The first module is just teaching you about the difference between coaching and therapy. It teaches about healing. We talk about trauma-informed care. We talk about everything that you need to do first to find your own healing. Because the last thing we want you to do is to go out there and try to help someone else to heal when you are still at home crying. You're still going into your dark closet, into your dark place, and you feel like no one else loves you. And it's not saying that you won't get triggered and you won't have your own issues that you need to bear, but you have to be able to teach the different resources that works, right? Like I can say, look, doing mindfulness and doing reflections is helpful for me because that's something I did for myself in my own healing journey. So I give you the resources and tools that you need to become a certified healing coach, not just to help others to heal, but to also help yourself to heal. And I want you to be able to turn your pain into a profitable business. Why are we going to waste this pain? Right? To just sit. Look, if I can write some books and make some money off the mess that happened in my life, that's what I'm going to do, because I'm all about the growth and the
Well, Doctor, you know what? And I got to say this because my mother passed away in 2018. And
Oh, wow.
she passed away 2 days before my actual birthday. My mom passed away on October 19th. My birthday was the 21st that just passed. And
Happy birthday.
oh, thank you. And a lot of people really don't know. And I got to go back to therapy because he told me I like to get ghost on people during that time. Right. And when I say ghost, see, because a lot of people don't understand that during those times, like, can you imagine your mother passing away 2 days before your actual birthday?
Right.
She gave birth to you, right? So I go ghost on people, and it's nothing against them, but my therapist used to always say you do it because you reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turned around and said, you need to stop doing it too. Like, yo, dude, like talk to these people because they love you. Right.
Yeah.
So I always tell people like during that time, just bear with me. Because I'm
Right.
going to come back. Just bear with me. I'm going to come back. But people
Right.
take it very personal. People take that personal.
We can be
I'm like,
we can be
yeah,
very as human beings. Everything is not about us, but we will make it about us real quick.
yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You give them a heads up. Look, I lost my mama. I lost, right before my birthday. So this is something that I do. And then when it happens, yeah, I ain't hear from you in a week, and it broke my heart. Did you hear what I said? Like I gave you a heads up. I gave you a heads up that it was gonna happen, and we still in our own heads because
Oh,
everything is about us, but it's
yeah.
not.
Yeah. So let's definitely talk about, how do you use your own coaching strategy in your own life?
Oh gosh,
Mm,
everything. So one of the main things I teach when it comes to healing, especially when it comes to the domestic violence and the toxic relationships and the divorce, is forgiveness is the number one thing you have to do. So I
mm,
am constantly not just forgiving my perpetrators and my abusers, but I'm forgiving myself for the stupid decisions that I make. Because a lot of things that we do, we got to be accountable. Like nobody
mhm,
is forcing us to get in these relationships. Nobody is forcing us to ignore these red flags that's constantly being thrown at us. But we keep feeding whatever need, because some of the
mhm,
things that we do, it's a craving for attention, it's a craving for love. And we got to figure out what is it that our body needs that we keep craving the wrong things in our life. And so that's something that therapy can help us with, because something wants to be nourished, something wants to be fed, and we're feeding it with the wrong things. So if you're a
Mm-hmm.
person who's promiscuous, jumping from relationship to relationship, trying to fix things with sex, sex is temporary. It's going to feel good for the moment, but the very next day, you're going right back into your loneliness, your dark place, that trauma that you are refusing to address in your life. And you got to nourish what needs to be nourished. So that is
Now,
something I constantly do for myself, is forgive myself for the stupid mistakes that I made.
now I got a question for you because an old saying is, "I forgive, but I don't forget,"
Mm,
and that old saying bothers me now to this day because I used to always thrive by that. Like, yeah, I forgave you, but I don't forget. But
right.
then someone brought to light to me, like, how can you forgive somebody and you still tell them that you ain't forgetting? So
Yes.
can you explain a little bit something like that? Because I need people to understand that right there. Like, yeah, I forgive you, but I don't forget. But how you
You
say that?
can't move
Because you
forward. You're
evidently
not
because you didn't.
moving forward if you're dwelling on it. And so I think a lot of people don't understand me, because I can actually be my abuser's friend, and it's not healthy. So it's still
Mhm.
remembering to set those boundaries. Just because you forgive them does not mean you still got to be all in their face and smiling like everything is good. But you also want to not forget that you're not learning lessons from it, because you want to
Mhm.
learn from every experience, but you want to forget that you're moving forward, that you're not treating the next person in your life with resentment and bitterness because somebody else did something. And so we become very guarded because we feel like it's going to be a way to protect us, but it's because we have not moved forward from the pain that someone else has caused in our life. And so you have to forgive, and you learn from it. You learn from it. And so maybe using the word forgive, but I'm not going to forget. Maybe that's not good, but you want to say, I'm going to forgive you, and I'm going to learn from this mistake. I'm going to learn from this experience, and I'm going to let it go. You
Mm.
got to let it go. You
Talk
got to
about it.
let it go, not for the other person, but for yourself.
Yeah, cause you hold. I try to tell people
Feel
you
you.
will hold a whole lot of stress on you to the point that you'll be hurting yourself mentally and physically, while the other person is like going to
They go.
sleep. They ain't even worrying about you.
They go. You got to let it go. Like you said, unforgiveness can kill you.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
it really does affect the heart.
Hmm.
It affects the heart.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so let's talk a little bit about, you are, definitely an international, TEDx speaker, right? So I went back to one of your speeches
Okay.
and I enjoyed it, because, you talked about, when the body talk.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that a little bit because some things that you said in there, you talked about your father's, you talk about your mother's passing, then you talk about your father's passing. But then you
Right.
like, yo, I was eating and I was sitting there listening to it, and I was like, God damn it, yo, is she like really reading my mind here? Like, I know I got her coming on, but this kind of spooked me out. I ain't even gonna sugarcoat it. Spooked me out a little bit because when I was doing all my research, and then I'm like, oh, hold up, wait a minute. Like she's breaking this down. So can you tell our listeners and our family who's actually watching, let's talk about that speech that you did, when the body talk.
Yeah. So previously I did mention how our emotions are tied into our physical state. And so the TEDx speech that I did, When the Body Talks, I speak about how I grieved in two different ways. When my mom passed away, I grieved with tears. I had emotional pain. My heart was aching. My heart felt like it was broken. So it was very obvious that I was in this broken state emotionally, right?
Hmm.
Because I had the tears that matched it. I cried. I talked to my family and friends about how hurt I was. But when my dad passed away, 2 years later, it was different. And I really think it was because my heart was already broken from losing my mom, that it's like my heart can't get any broken anymore. So that pain was not as intense as it was when I lost my mom. But what I did was, and what I wasn't noticing, was that I was emotionally eating. And I was, I had no idea I was doing this, because as a coach, I'm working with individuals who are emotional eaters, and I'm giving them the coping strategies, what you can do to replace food with journaling, listening to music, going for walks. Meanwhile, I'm at home and I'm like, hold up, my weight is steady picking up. My face is getting fuller. And when I finally took the time to really see what was going on, especially with the help of my therapist, I'm like, oh my goodness, I am doing the same exact thing that my clients do, emotionally eat. I had no idea that was something that I was struggling with. And so when I came up with the title, When the Body Talks, it was because our body communicates with us. When we are in pain, it can tell us. If I got a headache, most likely I'm in a stressful state. I'm stressed. What's going on in my life? When my shoulders are aching, that means I am carrying a heavy load. What is it that I need to let go? Every part of our body is related to something. And even when I was doing my research about the liver, because my mom passed away from liver cancer, I found out that the liver is tied to the emotion of anger and resentment. So I was surprised when I found out, oh my goodness, my mom passed away from liver cancer. And most of the time, the emotions, anger, and resentment is tied to it. Because remember what I said? She was raped as a child, but was not communicating this to anyone. Don't you think she was holding on to so much anger and resentment in her life? People who betrayed her countless times from different walks in her life. And I said, our body talks to us in such a clear voice, but we don't listen to it. We don't listen to our body when it says it's time to sleep and we are exhausted. We keep pushing and pushing. But when your body says rest, you need to listen to your body. And so that's what my speech, When the Body Talks, is all about. Because our body, we have a relationship with our body, and relations is all about telling a story. So if you were to go have a conversation with your body and you say, what story do you want to tell me? What would your body say? How would your body be happy with the way you've been treating your body? Would it say, I'm happy with you, you're eating healthy, you're working out, you're getting the right an appropriate amount of sleep? Or was your body fussing, cussing, and yelling at you because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing to take care of yourself?
I'm telling you, you was talking to me. I'm telling you, you was talking to me because whew, that's why I was like, I was kind of, I was like, wow, I gotta coming on, and here I am doing research, and just that alone, because you are absolutely right. I'm telling y'all, OT is telling you, she is absolutely right. Because I gained like 30 pounds after my mom passed away, and did not know until my therapist was like, "Listen, you're eating a little bit too much, my guy." I'm like, nah, I ain't stressed out like that. He like, you're stressing, and that's why you're here. And you know what I mean? And yeah.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's something that we all need to start, thinking about, especially in our community that is so frowned upon.
Yes.
People talk it like, oh yeah, mental health is real, but it's still frowned upon in
Right.
our community because a lot of people still be like, oh, I'm not going to go see no crack doctor. You know what I mean? That doctor is a quack. You know what I'm saying? Nah, buddy. You know what I mean? Stop talking to your friends and go ahead and talk to them because they're going to help you.
You ain't
'Cause
lying. Mental health awareness, Black men mental health, Black woman mental health, and we're not doing anything about it. We just talking. We're just talking, but nobody wants to go to therapy. Nobody wants to invest in themselves because yes, therapy costs money, but it's an investment in your health. And so either you are going to pay attention to your health to keep it on track, or your health is going to be screaming at you years from now, telling you you know what? You lost your opportunity to get
Yep.
me somewhere else. And now you're in the hospital. So either way, you're going to spend that money.
Yep. Listen, I'm even trying to show them how to get the free money. I'm showing them how to go to therapy free on a job. You feel what I'm saying? Like the job offer like 2 or 3 sessions for free. Go.
So when I was working at my last job, they had EAP. I used all 3 of my sessions. I had a therapist. I had therapy and EAP counseling. Like,
yeah, like, yo, use it. Use it. We try to tell our people use it. I'm telling you, y'all be slacking up on it. I'm telling you, see, people are scared of the, of the unknown, right? And then when a therapist start talking to them about certain things, then they gotta face it, and they don't want to face it. They don't want to face the problem situation. So, wow. This one right here, this interview right here, I loved it because we got to talk about therapy. We got to talk about divorce. We got to talk about domestic violence, and I'm happy. Because with you coming on and we having this dialogue that actually brought light to a whole lot of things that is going on, and you opened up too, because a lot of people really don't like opening up, and you opened up. And once you said, yes, I end up going to therapy, I'm telling you, a lot of people don't like saying it, but you said it. And that's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you the woman that you are today. So we definitely appreciate that. We appreciate it. All right, so now you got to tell people where to follow you at on all social media platforms, websites.
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Coach Dana W. Coach Dana W. My website is DanaWatsonCoaching.com. You can either add me as a Facebook friend, Dana Barnett Watson, and I will gladly add you. So, no problem at all. DM me, but keep it professional. That's all I say.
Listen, tell that one more time to these folks out here, because they do need to learn. People, please keep it professional.
Keep it professional.
Tell them one more time. Well, listen, I definitely got to say thank you again for joining us here on the show. We appreciate you. I'm going to follow you on the social media. I think I'm already following you on Facebook, but if not, I think I am. But if not, I am going to follow you for sure. I am going to keep in touch with you. So we are going to keep in touch, because I know you got a lot of things that you're going to be doing coming up. So we definitely want to support all that. And, I got to thank your daughter for allowing me to have conversations with her mother. So tell her thank you. We appreciate you. And listen, I mean, you got to come back on. So any other project that you got coming on, you got to come back on. You are now family now. So welcome to the family, cuz. Definitely welcome to the family. Appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you. VA, most definitely VA all day long. I got family. See, look. Look, I got family in VA. I got family in Richmond. I got family in Culpeper. I got family in Fredericksburg. Yeah. Them Tanzimores is deep down there. They deep down there in DC and VA and as they call it, the DMV. So they deep.
Yes.
So, but yeah, thank you again for joining us here on the show. We appreciate you most definitely. Once again, you got to tell them your social media once again, so people who are catching the replay, they can get it twice. So go ahead and give it to them one more time for the road, and we'll be talking to you later. So go ahead and give it to them.
Yes, find me Facebook and on Instagram at Coach Dana W. Also, I have my Facebook group, Healthy, Happy, and Healed with Coach Dana W. So let's get healed, get elevated together.
Most definitely. Matter of fact, I'm going to join that group too. So, hey, y'all, we joining. OT is joining. So I'm going to go ahead and join it. I'll be joining by the time we get off of here. But hey, listen, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Welcome to the family. And hey, enjoy the rest of your beautiful day.
Thank you. You too.
All right, thank you. Oh, good show once again, y'all. Beautiful show today. Like I tell y'all, man, we are bringing light into the community, and I am so glad that you came on and have conversations with your boy OT. We appreciate it so much. Hey, make sure you go ahead and follow on all social media platforms, everywhere. All social media platforms. You get all the details here on the OT Radio Show. Make sure y'all follow us on OT Radio Show on all everywhere. Just say OT Radio Show and everything can pop up for you. Just hit the like button, share, subscribe. We appreciate everybody that's been watching. Love y'all. And once again, if someone asks you how you doing, you tell them you're doing better than yesterday. All right. Thank you for watching, y'all. Peace.